Streaming live via the internet, welcome to ISP Radio, your weekly source for ISP-related news, events, and interviews with industry experts. If you deliver internet via fiber optic, fixed wireless, coax, or any other way, you're in the right place. And now a brief word from our sponsors. Link Technologies Incorporated provides the lowest priced Microtech products in North America, as well as Wade Towers, Mimosa, Cambium, Ubiquity, Nettonics, and a host of other products and services to be your one-stop shop for your ISP needs. Visit www.linktechs.net. That's LINKTECHS.net for more information. TowerCoverage.com, providing online RF coverage maps with website integration. Stop rolling your trucks for every site survey and start doing installations. Visit www.towercoverage.com now. And now we'd like to present our hosts, Steve Grabiel and Dennis Burgess.
Welcome to another edition of ISP Radio. I'm your host, Steve Grabiel, and I'm broadcasting out of Moriarty, New Mexico, and Dennis Burgess is producing and co-hosting the show out of St. Louis. Well, in New Mexico, I guess I'm kind of bragging. It's supposed to be 60 day. I can't believe I'm trapped in here doing the show, but I love doing the show, so it's worth it.
Yeah.
Just been plowing in cable, trying to get more people subscribed to the network. We set up the, I call it a wireless to the node, fiber to the home network that we're building. And we got the wireless to the node zeroed in, locked in, 500 megabits, and added our first subscriber to the fiber last week. Had to do that in quick order to meet the need of a HOA meeting. I wanted to show up at the HOA meetings telling them it works well, and we're ready to start adding you guys on. And other than that, had to deal with some issues in the community that I had a lease go cattywampus on me and had to move the equipment, and am in the process of refocusing 20 new subscribers. And unfortunately, it's a 50-mile one-way trip, so that's kind of been painful. But those are the problems that we have as a WISP. We just go through and muddle through them and get the people back online. So what's going on in your neck of the woods, Dennis? What's the weather like there?
Oh, you know what? It's actually pretty. It's pretty cold. I'll sit there and tell you that. We've had some really nice weather. Typical Missouri, though, we go from being cold as possible, like -10. Then we go a few days and we'll have 50s. And today actually is the nicest day it's going to be all week. Our high is like 56, so this is nice. Tomorrow the high is 32. And then for the next week and a half, the high is not going to be above, not in the 40s. So it is what it is, and we try to keep everybody nice and warm and that type of stuff, but
and healthy.
Yeah, and the flu and the viruses that's been going around has just been horrible this year. So, like I said, it is what it is, but we keep busy.
So, Dennis, you have any news? Or you kind of broke up there?
Will benefit us, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that that's going to work extremely, extremely well, but I can't sit there and tell you that. If that makes sense. So, I think that the CBRS will work out really well for us WISPs as long as we keep doing what we've been doing, and that's really the big key.
Right, and I think on our last show we mentioned we had quite a few people in the industry contribute to that effort to help keep the CBRS available.
Oh yeah, and we did. We actually had quite a few WISPs that did the announcements, that did their CBRS filings, things like that, just like Link Technologies and Tower Coverage did. We did our FCC filings. All that's really good. Right now, it's all in the comment field, that type of stuff. So we're basically waiting. We would have to get Steve or Mark on the show to actually talk about when and if those products are going to come out, or if and when we will be doing anything else. But right now, I think overall, I think the entire product, the CBRS, even if they get larger PALs, even if they got larger time frames, I really don't think that that's really going to matter too terribly much in the grand scheme of things. Especially for us as WISPs that are operating outside of areas. Now, the big downside is, let's say there's 10 channels, and a PAL owner, so someone goes out and buys licensing, and they get licensing for our area, even though they're not even operating in our area. In theory, the SAS system is supposed to let us operate because we are GAA, number one, and number two, we are outside of their coverage, so we should not interfere with them. So it's really not a big deal if you're outside of the T-Mobile coverage area, because all these companies, they sit there and said, hey, 365 is exactly what I wish to use, etc., but we're only going to cover 40% of the PAL anyway because we only want the downtown areas. So the end result is, unless you are operating in a downtown area, for the most part, it's not really going to matter too terribly much for you. However, I do believe that more that we can get, and if we can get those PALs, because the big thing here is, like in our area, we have quite a few census tracts, but we are outside of those high demand areas that the cellular companies want. So because of that, we have an option that we can actually purchase PALs and actually operate on licensed band. It doesn't really give us anything other than technically we're licensed and we're operating in a frequency band that we have rights to operate in. What the enforcement or encroachment, let's just say someone else operates in that, what that actually does, what the FCC actually does is a whole other issue. But there you go.
Right.
The big thing here is that we could purchase those licenses. The licenses are going to be much cheaper if it goes by census tract than PALs. And then we can actually operate that. I really wish that if you had a PAL, you could actually operate at a higher power. That'd be awesome.
Right.
But that's not really the case.
Yeah. Well, if that's all the news that's fit for print, we have a guest on the show. We talked to the folks at Radio Networks at Wispapalooza last year, and in particular talked to Frank Beffra. And they have an interesting service that they offer WISPs to add value to the proposition that we all offer. So, Frank, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So, Frank, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and what Rodeo Networks is all about, where it came from, and how you help WISPs add value to their portfolio.
Well, first, let me thank you for having me on this show. Nice to be on ISP Radio today. And Gary, good to hear your voice, my friend. Looking forward to WISP America. We had an incredible time at Wispapalooza. It was just a tremendously successful show for us as a vendor. And I'm telling you, I met so many great people in the business. And WISP America, just a great event. So I can't say enough about that. And if you do not have your tickets and you haven't made arrangements to be there in March, definitely get her done. So enough said. As far as rodeo is concerned, rodeo, kind of like a horse, you see here on my shirt, it's an interesting product because we had really an idea that came out of my experience in the cable television business. And I started in the cable TV business a long time ago, back in the late 1980s and early 1990s. And had the first cable modem system in the United States deployed in the mid-1990s in a little town called Hibbing, Minnesota. So I really understand rural broadband very, very well because that's where I come from. I come from how do we connect people out in the sticks that can't get service anywhere else with limited bandwidth, with all these other problems and you know that we deal with as WISPs every single day to get bandwidth to these customers. You know, there's in many cases not any fiber out there. In many cases, you know, it's a long haul from the closest tower to get to that customer's CPE. So what are we going to do to deliver them more services and in a way that is bandwidth conscious? And so that's kind of the basis for how we came up with creating the Rodeo Network product portfolio. Our idea was, okay, let's figure out a way to deliver video, HD video, at a very low bit rate, but at the highest possible quality, and let's do it multicast. And a lot of WISPs and ISPs and other folks really don't know a lot about multicast. Multicast is kind of a whole nother beast, right? It's this other way of delivering packets. You know, in the internet business, everybody gets their own packet. You know, you go to YouTube and you watch your own video, and you know, no two people watch the same video at the same time with the same bits. With multicast, everybody's watching the same video at the same time with the same bits. It is a broadcast, which lends itself beautifully to working well on WISPs and on constrained networks where there's not a lot of bandwidth, but there's a lot of customers that want service. We all know the Netflix problem, right? What's happening? At 7 o'clock p.m. every single night, all the way until midnight, everybody's network usage goes through the roof because of one culprit, and that's Netflix, because 4, 5, 6 megabit HD video is streaming unicast to hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people on your network. So we said, okay, let's figure out a way to do this differently. So Rodeo delivers multicast, and we deliver every major broadcast network, all the cable networks, everybody from HBO all the way to the rural farm network. And of course, the other big issue was, well, how are we going to get the local channels to be able to deliver those? Because we want to be putting up an antenna on everybody's house. So we also deliver the local channels for your DMA. So if you're in Chicago, Illinois, we're going to deliver you the Chicago over-the-air channels. We take care of the licensing for all the channels, including the locals. And we provide you a wholesale rate. You mark it up and sell it to your customers. And that's Rodeo in a nutshell.
So how does it work? I mean, do we buy a big router or buy a router, or is it a cloud service? How's this? How are you able to accomplish this?
Well, we deliver our service from our super head end facilities. A super head end is basically a big cable TV head end, right? It's got a bunch of satellite dishes. It's got all kinds of data connectivity coming in. We've got all kinds of receivers. We've got a bunch of transcoders. And what we do is we create IP streams of all of this traffic. We also use a product called Verimatrix. Verimatrix is an encryption methodology whereby you can't steal the video. So we're not sending this in the clear. We're sending this encrypted. It doesn't get decrypted until it gets to the customer's TV set. So there's no way to steal the packets and watch video if they're not buying it from us or from you in this case. So we deliver it in that manner. We can deliver it via the internet. We have a product called Corral that we just released the first of the year, which is a error correction, both forward and resending of packets that are lost for delivery of this product over the internet. So we can come in right on your internet backbone. We provide error correction up to 40% packet loss from our super head end facility that's closest to you to one of two devices that you have at your NOC. The smaller device supports 250 customers, and we call it the Crossfire. It's a one-use server. It terminates a VPN connection to you, and it operates as a layer 2 device on your network. You plug that into your router, and you're off and running. The larger device is what we sell the most of, and we have these all around the world and here in the United States. They're called mini head ends, or MHEs. And a mini head end is a black box solution. It's got multiple redundant servers in it, switching, routing, and in some cases encoding and receiving equipment. And you are able to brand that with your own logos, so your customer sees that when they're watching television. You're able to brand the set-top box and remote controls accordingly. We build you custom firmware so that when that set-top box boots up, it's your red, white, and blue logo all over the screen. The mini head end is extremely flexible on what we can do with it. You can serve hundreds of thousands of set-top boxes with it, and you can do multiple brands. So, for example, if you've got a couple of multiple dwelling unit customers, maybe a hotel, apartment complex, you can brand it for that HOA or for that hotel just for the set-top boxes that are running in that building. It's got all kinds of capabilities. We can do special Barker channels where you can create your own TV channel. Let's say you've got a high school, a couple of sports teams, and they want to put their basketball and football games somewhere. You can create your own TV channel with a mini head end. So there's two different options. The mini head end works on a layer 2 or layer 3 network. The Crossfire works on a layer 2 network exclusively. So that's how we deliver the service.
So in reality, you're a content provider. Rodeo Networks is a content provider. How you mentioned earlier how you're able to deliver it on low bandwidth ISPs like myself. How are you able to do that? I mean, do you need like a 10 gig link? Does that ISP need like a 10 gig link to the internet to get all that traffic that you're going to be multicasting to us?
For a typical package, you're going to need about 150 to 200 meg.
Okay.
To get our channel package into your facility for a mini head-end system. For a Crossfire system, we send you dynamic channels. So unless somebody on your network is watching Family Network, we don't send it to you. So it's a little bit more bandwidth conscious as far as your incoming link for the Crossfires.
So do you have a website that our customers or our listeners can go to and see all the pricing and all that kind of good stuff, or is that not available?
Yeah, you can go to rodeonetworks.com. And I think you guys are also going to put up a video that we provided you, so you can see a little bit about how it works and what it's about. You can certainly get a hold of me directly. We'd love to put together a package for you or a quote. We've got lots of different options depending on how large your network is. As far as delivering it from your NOC to your customer, like I say, it's multicast. So it only delivers the channels that are being watched on that particular leg of your network. Not all of those channels. So your network doesn't have to support 150 megabits. It only has to support the total number of different channels that are being watched on that leg of your network at any given moment.
And on your set, now you guys use your set-top, your own branded, or we can have our own branded set-top box, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And
we have a set-top box, a few different options for you there.
All right, and that box needs to have layer 2 access to our network?
The set-top box is a DHCP. It can run through NAT. It can run through layer 3. It's pretty robust as far as how you can connect it up on your network. We like to see a VLAN created for our multicast content. Of course, you don't want to flood your unicast network with multicast. So you're going to need to figure out a way to separate that traffic from your regular traffic. But everybody is basically doing it with VLANs. That's a pretty easy way to implement that, and it can be done at the switch level and all the way down to the customer site.
Yeah. So what we have here is we have a product, a multicast product, which I'm fairly familiar with multicast products. The difference is that you guys see. I don't see anything on RodeoNetworks.com. That's your website, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I don't really see anything that actually gives me I guess that there is a dealer's login, but that don't really help me too terribly much. I just see home and business service. I mean, this is like a WISP page.
There you go. That's for our retail product. Exactly.
Okay. But you don't have a page for another WISP to get in on this, or?
Yeah. If you take a look at the website, you can go to the Rodeo TV. So it's /Rodeo TV right after the main URL. That'll bring you to the wholesale site.
So you guys actually retail to end subscribers as well?
Yeah, we've been a WISP for a number of years, and that's kind of where we started. It's like, well, how the heck are we going to do video? You know, and we had a lot of challenges because our average customer was getting like 4 or 5 megabit connection max, and so how the heck do you deliver video with that? I mean, they got a tough time even watching Netflix.
Right.
So yeah, we had some challenges. So yes, we are a WISP, so we understand, being an ISP, what the challenges are at delivering video. No question.
Yeah, that's good to know. You are involved in the industry.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, and I'd be happy to send information out if anybody wants to contact me directly. We've got a contact form right there on the website. Just send me an email, and we can get you some, detailed information. We've got a white paper that we published on how this works, give you a good background from a technical perspective on how we're delivering video on multicast and what the inner workings of our system is, so that you've got a good idea how that will work on your network. We've also got network engineers on staff, so when we do a mini head-end installation, we will physically send a network engineer out to your site. We will physically install the mini head-end system, and we will work with your team to get your network multicast ready, make sure that we can stream some video, plug in a set-top box on one of your nodes at a customer site, and have it working before we leave.
That's good to know.
That's important.
So you mentioned super head ends. Do you just have one, or do you have multiple around the country? And these mini nodes or mini head ends, do they all tie together to offer content? Say, like you mentioned, I could get the local channels in Albuquerque. Do the mini nodes tie together? And like, say, if you have someone in Colorado Springs, they could, in theory, buy the local channels there.
There's a few questions there.
Yeah, sorry.
We ingest the local channels at data centers that are located in the markets where those channels are broadcast. So if we're going to pick up local channels in Chicago, we have a data center in Chicago where we have an over-the-air receive system, which includes ATSC receivers, transcoders, and routing devices, so that we can send those back to our superhead end. Right now, we have one superhead end facility that's located in Spokane, Washington. We're building one on the East Coast as well, and that should be launched later this year. But the important thing is that all the locals are curated at the local broadcast site of those local channels. The caveat is that if you're in, Albuquerque, New Mexico, you can't watch Chicago local television. We have to respect the DMA rules that those TV stations are licensed under. And when we sign retransmission consent agreements with those broadcasters, those agreements stipulate that we can't send those signals outside that DMA. In some cases, like we're working with one of our customers has customers in both Bloomington Normal and Champaign, all right, Illinois. Well, those are two different DMAs, but he's right in the middle, and he's got customers on the border. Well, we can ship some channels from one DMA to another DMA for those customers that are on the line. And that happens in a lot of different markets, but we certainly can't send them across the country.
Right. So say I were to sign up with this, you would contact the local people and say, hey, we want to buy your content. You work out the deal with that, then they transport that to you, and thus you transport it back to me?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep, that's exactly how it works.
Huh. And then, of course, all the other content from your HBO and stuff is dealt with up in Spokane.
Yes.
Gotcha. So where's Rodeo Networks located at?
Rodeo Networks is in Spokane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we also have our office in Clarkston, Lewiston, Washington, which is where our WISP is located. And then we've got an office in Orlando, Florida, and one in Lewis, Delaware.
So you said you had a good showing at the Wispapalooza. Did a lot of people? I saw. I mean, the booth was crowded the whole time. I barely had a chance to speak with you. But did you have a good take from that show?
Yeah, it was great. We met a lot of incredible people. We've signed up at least a dozen or so now, so that we're really starting to roll this out. We've got a number of folks that are just getting this launched now in the United States. There have been some challenges, I think, in getting people to deal with the multicast issues, getting all the channel lineups squared away, retransmission consent. There's a lot of moving parts to this thing. So as an operator that we signed up, for example, at Wispapalooza, might take 3 or 4 months to get the deal put together. It might take another month or two to get everything manufactured and delivered, and maybe another month to get launched. So I guess looking at this from the people that we signed up at Wispapalooza, we're now just starting to see those people launch service.
And turning them on.
Yep.
And you mentioned the desktop box or a TV box. What if someone has a smart TV? They still need that box because that's where all the decryption happens, right?
That's correct. The Verimatrix is picky. And our set-top boxes, each one of them that we got certified with Verimatrix went through a very stringent process that they have, and we received university certification from them for security, which is the second highest level that you can get. And right now we have 6 different versions of the set-top box that are certified. Some are wireless, some are just wired, and some provide support for 4K and the new HEVC standard for video codecs, and some just support the older technology. So there's a number of different options, but those set-top boxes are a critical end piece to being able to decrypt the signal. Additionally, we've deployed our error correction software right on the set-top box as well, so that if you've got noise on your network, you've got some packet loss, you've got some signal problems, we will have a perfected video at the TV set, because error correction lives on the set-top box. And it's correcting packets right there at your TV set, which is a big deal, because you don't want to be watching a football game and have it pixelating. You don't want to have the kinds of problems we see with DirecTV when it rains. We don't want to see the kinds of video results that you have with with some of these over-the-top solutions where, if somebody's decided to download something off of a website, your TV signal goes to crap for 10 minutes. This is not what we want. So this error correction on the set-top box cures a world of ills, and it'll cure up to 40% packet loss right at your TV set on the network. So that's a big deal.
And you mentioned that this will work behind a double NAT and whatnot, and
yes,
obviously probably work better without a NAT, but
sure. Well, as long as it can see the mini head end, it's happy, and it's a DHCP a device just like anything else. So I've got mine at my house. I've got 3 set-top boxes, 2 wireless, 1 wired. They go through a Pico station. The Pico station is hooked up to a little crappy Netgear Soho router. That's connected to the CPE, and I watch TV on all 3 TVs simultaneously in HD at my place.
Wow. Well, what kind of pipe you got feeding your house? You're an ISP.
I got 100 meg.
Yeah.
I'm not screwing around, but
Entertainment's a premium.
Well, the nice thing is I can write off my TV service, so that's good.
That's cool. Dennis, you got any questions or ideas?
No, I don't. And I just checked our website, and we don't have any questions on our website either.
So a question, I guess, is that you mentioned about setting up a VPN to isolate multicast traffic from your unicast. Doesn't the desktop box do that, or once it leaves that desktop box, we've got to isolate that traffic all the way to the head end?
Yeah, it's got to be isolated on a VLAN. I wouldn't use a VPN. I'd probably do a VLAN.
Well, a VLAN from the desktop box to the devices you provide us at our NOC, correct?
You got it.
Okay.
Yep.
And then does the desktop box have a VLAN directly to you guys, or how's that work?
Well, we work with the Crossfire is basically creates an extension of our LAN.
Okay.
Right. So you're on our LAN basically with a Crossfire.
On that box.
You got it. And it's our IP space that the set-top box is going to grab because the DHCP is going to be handed out by the Crossfire. Right. With the mini head end, it's a completely different scenario because the mini head end is doing all the heavy lifting. Right. Mm-hmm. It's terminating everything. It's handling DHCP. It'll do, layer 3. You can do all kinds of fun stuff if you want to get complicated with, with how you want to route the multicast traffic. Now, I'm just dangerous enough to know how to talk about this stuff, but I'm no network engineer.
Right.
I'm an RF guy. I come from the cable world, but I know enough that we've had some very challenging installations where there's been some really complicated networking that we've had to deal with. A lot of different hardware, a lot of different, RF going on with different types of access points and nodes. So we've seen just about everything we can see, and we've got a way to get around most everything.
So that mini head end, is that almost like hosting Netflix at your own NOC? I would say not, right? Because hosting Netflix at your own head end is big old caching servers. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're right. Netflix is a different beast, and remember, Netflix is unicast on your LAN.
Okay.
So even though you might not be burning up internet bandwidth from your NOC, you're certainly burning up LAN bandwidth. Actual viewership, 48% of everybody that watches TV on Rodeo is watching 4 channels: ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. There are 14 other channels that encompass another 40% of that viewership. So over 88% of your customers are watching 18 channels at any given moment. So you're not supporting 150 separate Netflix streams. You're supporting 18 streams network-wide for everybody that wants to watch those. So it's a completely different math that you're working with on the LAN side.
Mm-hmm. Man, you brought up a really good question I wanted to ask.
Yes, that is my wife in the calendar.
No, that wasn't the question. I already asked that earlier.
Okay.
So what you had a good showing at Wispapalooza, and it's been about that length of time. Have these guys lit up, and are they operating with what you guys were offering at the show?
Yes, matter of fact, we've got a gentleman in Yakima, Washington that's launching tomorrow. And we've got a gentleman in Austin, Texas launching tomorrow, February 1, both of which are direct byproducts of that show. So we definitely do have people that are firing things up.
And what in your experience has been the take rate of customers, and what kind of margins could a ISP look at making doing this? I know that you sell us something wholesale and we retail it, but I mean, what's a reasonable expectation? I mean, you set the expectation for if I called you and we started working together about 5 months to launch. What's the reasonable expectation on a take rate of my customer base? And number two, what's the reasonable expectation of a margin?
Well, we don't have a lot of data on take rate because, of course, we don't have a lot of people who've launched. We have. Our take rate is about 30% in a little small market with, 35,000 people and about 1,000 internet customers.
Okay.
So, and we've been offering service for about a year. Okay, so 30%.
Okay.
But I don't have any numbers for the people who've launched because we're just starting to launch people now. So
fair enough.
Ask me that question in 6 months. I'll give you a real world answer.
Right.
Frankly, I don't know. It's a tough competitive market out there, man. As you know, everybody and their brother is trying to sell video. Everybody from YouTube, to Netflix, to Hulu, to you name it. Mm-hmm. But we think this is just a better product than all of those over-the-top products because it's not over the top, right?
Right.
It's a dedicated service that runs on a multicast. You've got dedicated bandwidth to support. It's a whole different animal. So I think we're going to see take rates that are similar to that. As far as margins are concerned, you set your margin where you want it based on the marketplace. Our wholesale rates are really, really competitive. So at a base price of $29 for your basic tier, your cost from me to deliver that is under $20. So you're making $9 on your base tier. You'll make a higher margin the more video channels you can sell the customer. And that's for a single dwelling unit. This is a really great product for multiple dwelling units, hotels, apartment complexes, any single biller you can think of, universities. A lot of these HOAs have got these new developments where you go in as a sole source provider. You're in their fiber. You put your fiber in their trenches, and now you're providing a triple play. Take rates are going to be huge. Margins are going to be huge. Those are great captive markets. So as you look at this from a how do I get a quick hit when I first want to roll this out, multiple dwelling units, HOAs are going to be your primary target. I talked to a guy yesterday who's got a mobile home or RV park that's got 80 slots. He's got a hotel next to it that's got like 50 rooms in it. So he's got a real small situation. He's going to get a Crossfire. We'll stick that baby in there, and he'll sell a big package of 60, 70, 80 channels for $50 a month, and he'll clear $500-600 a month on the deal, which is better than a kick in the shorts.
No, absolutely. So is this? We've seen Sling TV. I imagine that's some sort of competitor of yours, albeit over the top.
Yep, they are.
Is this similar to that, where you pay for just what you want? Like you mentioned, there's a high percentage of the local channels, and then a smaller percentage of up to 14. Are you able to just sell these people what they want, utilizing Rodeo?
It's pretty a la carte. But we do require bundling of certain network channels together. But it's not too bad. And we send you basically a really cool spreadsheet that tells you exactly what can be bundled, what it costs you wholesale, and we give you some guidelines and some ideas on how you might be able to sell that to customers. But a lot of folks are going with 2 or 3 basic bundles, maybe $30, $50, and $70, and then a whole bunch of a la carte options that they can add to either one. And that works out pretty well. But to be straightforward with you, nobody is going to be selling a service where you can buy one channel at a time.
Right. No, I
It's
get
just
that.
it's just not going to happen. The way that the licensing is designed with these different cable companies, if you take ESPN, you better be prepared to pay for about a half a dozen other channels.
Right.
Otherwise, you aren't going to get ESPN.
Right.
And that's just the nature of the beast.
So back to the take rate, and you guys have done this on your own network about 30%. What is your feeling on the stickiness of the service you're offering your own customers? Do they love it and they just can't get enough of it, or have they tried it and said, we're not into it?
The only problems we've had is people with really bad signal-related issues. That was a byproduct of the wireless network.
Right.
Or in some cases, their home, something to do, with how they're viewing it in their home. Mm-hmm. But if they've got good quality pictures, they ain't getting rid of it. And so I think it's a very sticky product. And the other thing I like about it is that it puts our brand in front of our customers' eyes every day. And unfortunately, as ISPs, we're kind of the whipping boy, right? We just provide the access to everything they want to see with their eyes. We don't get our logo in front of their face all the time. This changes that game. So now we become the source of all their stuff. We're the company that provides them their television. And now they see us every day when they turn their TV set on. They see us on the remote. They see us on their set-top box. It changes the game as far as how your customer views what you provide. So yes, it adds a stickiness that you can't get any other way that I can see.
Almost, well, not free advertising because there's a price for the thing, but it's advertising nonetheless.
Right. I mean, you got a T-shirt on, it says, HSI. I've got a T-shirt on. It says Rodeo. Well, why do we wear these T-shirts around? It's so people can understand that, this is my company and this is what we do. Well, right. This gives you the opportunity to put up a Barker channel that every time they turn on their TV, it starts on that channel and it says, hey, we got this going on, and here's our company, and this is our, what we're doing this month, and all these kind of thing. There's all kinds of opportunities for you to take your brand and really put it in front of your customer for the first time.
Right.
And so that changes the game for us.
Of channels, in which case nobody watches half of them. He already said that only 40% of the channels are even probably watched. The eventual need is that the majority of those channels need to go away. And the problem, though, is that everybody has bundled those channels together, and that's how they keep those channels afloat. So,
right. Subsidizing the poor quality.
Right. The poor content, I should rephrase that. I'm not sitting there stating that there is or is not a need for those channels. I'm sure there is. However, if we had packages or if we had systems that had a, pay for what you watch, and that's it, then, the problem is that most of those channels are going to go away. What I have not heard about is any type of DVR functionality on these.
Yes, we have a cloud-based DVR that works right from the mini head end system. It is unicast, of course, right? They store the content on the mini head end, and then they stream it out when they want it to their set-top box. You control how much they get and how much you charge them for that DVR content. So typically we like to see 20 hours of recording time with a base DVR package. And then some add-ons if they want to add more content after that. So yes, DVR is available.
There you go. I am good, and I don't have any questions from anybody on our window. I think this is going to be a video that most people view after the fact.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Frank, I haven't paid for TV in forever.
Why not?
And just because I'm in the field all day long and I'm hardly at home.
Okay.
And you mentioned the DVR, and that's a good question. I have a friend that watches DVR on his Direct TV or whatnot. Do you know And the reason I'm asking you, do you know if like the dishes or the DirecTV charge you a little bit more money for that DVR functionality, or is it included in the package?
Well, usually they package it up as part of the package where you get 2 receivers and you get DVR and then you get, so many channels and this kind. Then you sign your 2-year contract and there you have it. So most of them is packaged with it.
So in your case, and correct me if I'm wrong, DVR at someone's house is like a hard drive recording the stuff locally at their house, as where your form of DVR is stored at the mini head end,
right,
and then streamed to the home when they on demand, right?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
But there's plenty of people that do that. I mean, cable networks do that all the time.
Yeah, most people record stuff and then they never watch it.
Right.
Right? They're recording crap all the time. Oh, I'm gonna watch that on Sunday, and sure enough, they're doing the barbecue and they forgot all about it. They don't even watch anything. So the beautiful thing is with cloud DVR is it doesn't take up any resources because it records it all in the cloud. The only resource it ever expends is when somebody watches it. And frankly, people just don't watch their DVR content. We see it. We know it. We've got a 2,000 unit MDU with DVR, with a captive audience, with people that are recording all the time, and 10% of the recorded videos have been watched in the last year. So it's a beautiful thing, right? They can fill up all their recordings at the mini head end. They're paying you for that. Now they want to buy more storage because one of these days they're going to get to binge watch all those episodes of Game of Thrones, but they just haven't gotten around to it yet. So it's a real cool way to do it, and it gives you control over the customer experience. The other great thing is if they spill coffee on their set-top box or the dog takes a crap on it or something, who cares? They don't lose all their DVR.
That's true.
You just plug a new set-top box in. How many times have you gotten rid of cable or gotten rid of dish or whatever, and it's like, oh my God, I've got all these movies and stuff I stored on there. Can you get them off of there for me? And what's the answer? Cold day in hell, pal. You're not getting
sign back up for the service.
Yeah, good luck. Or or if you're if your set-top box goes to heck on you. So this way, I think it's a lot more customer friendly. It provides you an opportunity to make more money on it over time, and it gives you the chance to control that DVR relationship you have with the customer.
So that being said, how do you on your own network deal with that with the DVR? Do you charge them a little bit more? You throw that in the package and you only give them X amount of storage, and then if they hit that storage, you call them up and say, you're hitting your capacity, you better watch the rest of your shows or buy more storage.
Well, the nice thing about our set-top boxes is you can buy everything right on the set-top box. So if you run out of storage, you just click a button and you buy another 5 hours or 10 hours. And so we sell right now, we sell our DVR for $5 for 20 hours. It's just an extra add-on that they pay for on a monthly basis. And if they want to buy more, they can do it right on their set-top box.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a better feature. I mean, so say someone quits you and they had all this content that they stored up there, they'd still be kind of in the same conundrum of the guy who left Dish wanting that content off the DVR, right?
Yeah, they would. We can't sell it to them.
Right.
But
they didn't buy it.
They quit. So
right.
But if they move to another market where Rodeo happens to be, then we can just make it available at their new set-top box location.
Well, that brings up a really good point. So say I sign up with Rodeo and I get people signed up and stuff like that, and Rodeo's in Moriarty, and a customer takes his desktop box to Yakima, Washington.
Yep.
It would work all the same?
Yeah, you just need to get it authorized with that new provider, because, of course, that provider is going to be billing you instead of the one that's in, wherever.
It would
right.
It would
and
not
then all
work.
Their DVR stuff would transfer over, or how would that work?
Yeah, we can transfer their entire account.
Ah.
Yep. Yeah, everything's ubiquitous. So The set-top boxes are all usable on multiple systems. It's the same system. It's the same technology. It's the same middleware. So it all works together. So that would be not a problem.
Well, here's another question. So say I sign up and I put this stuff on people's houses and they quit and they try to go through their next internet provider. It will not call out to the...
Won't work.
Won't work.
No. Got to be on your network.
That's another sticky situation.
Yeah, they're stuck with you, brother. So you better provide them with good service, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, being at the trade show, I'm sure you were asked a ton of questions. Tell us one of the craziest questions you heard of at the trade shows, and tell us a story about a success story with you guys.
Crazy story.
Or not a crazy story, but a crazy question that was asked at Wispapalooza.
I guess the craziest one we had was that somebody wanted us to send them a mini head-end system as a demo rig.
Of course not.
And it's like, what? I'm going to ship you out a $50,000, half rack system and install it for you for nothing just so you can try it for a couple of weeks and tell me you don't want to buy it?
Yeah.
That isn't happening. We could send them out a demo rig, but it's going to be one set-top box and a router that'll punch a VPN back to our super head-end. But yeah, so that was kind of crazy. It was like, who's going to do that? A $50,000 piece of hardware,
No, no one would do it, but you do have a solution to try it. Right?
Sure. Yeah, we do.
That's a great question, because if people are interested in this and they want to reach out to you without expensing that amount of money, a trial would be a good start.
Yeah, it's a good way to test it out. And we send out an error-corrected set-top box, so you can put it on a network that's got a lot of loss on it, and you'll still watch some pretty nice TV. And then as far as a good story, as far as a success, I would say that we had a customer that had I guess you'd call it a dog and pony show, if you know what that is, where they had a bunch of dignitaries or people coming in from HOAs and the other companies in their coverage area, and they wanted to show off their new video service. And so, but they hadn't launched yet, and they weren't ready. So we built a system for them, a special system that we shipped to them, and we worked with their guys to set it up in a conference room setting, so that they could do a live demo and feature all kinds of cool stuff that the system could do in front of all of these dignitaries, and it went off without a hitch. And a couple of days later, I got a call from a church in that marketplace, reverend that was at the America. I was trying to think of the church. Anyway, it was a Baptist church of some kind, and he called up and he said, "We just saw your product, and I got your name, and we want to have this in Africa, because they got a whole bunch of churches in Africa."
Yeah.
And so it was amazing, just because we did something nice for somebody and we worked out something where we could do a demonstration, all of a sudden good things are coming from that. Mm-hmm. So whenever I talk to our CEO, I say, hey, this might cost us this, to take care of this customer, or go to the extra mile to do something that we typically wouldn't do, that, does cost us time and man hours and stuff. But I'm telling you, when you do stuff like that as a company, it comes back in spades. So, that's the way I feel. So if you ask me for a favor, I'm probably going to figure out how to get it done.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, to me, that dog and pony show was a guy that was full on into rodeo and bought into the idea. It's just he wasn't fully implemented yet, but you guys were able to put something together to show his new thing that he's going to get, correct?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but stuff like that, stuff happens like that all the time. You just got to go the extra mile for customers. You do it all the time.
Yep.
I'm sure you do it. People call you on the phone at 2:00 in the morning, and their internet's down, and okay, well, let's roll a truck. You as a customer, that extra thing, that extra service beyond what you expect really makes a difference, I think, in the experience. So we believe in that wholeheartedly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Frank, we're getting close to time to wrap up the show. Can you tell us about how to get in contact with you if the folks that listen to the show are interested in Rodeo Networks?
Yep, you bet. Just go ahead and you can go ahead and contact me at rodeonetworks.com. Just fill out the contact form. I will get it, and I'll get right back to you. Easiest way than giving you phone numbers and all that other junk. Nobody's going to remember that stuff anyway. So just go to rodeonetworks.com, fill out the contact form. I'll get back to you immediately. We'll start a conversation.
And that's Rodeo Networks, all one word.
You got it.
Yeah. Well, Dennis, any questions on the chat, or you have anything else to add?
Nope. I think I'm good.
Dennis,
cool.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you being on the show to tell us all about your new service, not over-the-top television service. Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah,
I appreciate you, Frank, for being on the show. And Dennis, if you could wrap us up, we will talk to you guys all next week, I believe.
Thank you, Steve.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to ISP Radio. We hope you've gained new insights and additional wisdom in our industry as well as your business. Please remember to visit our show sponsors via the links on ispradio.com. If you're interested in becoming a show sponsor, contact us at sales@ispradio.com. Now go out there and push those packets as fast as you can. Good luck and Godspeed.